Let's bring in Javier Farje, who's a journalist and Latin America political analyst. He joins us now from London via Skype. Good to have you with us, Javier. What's behind Boric's resounding victory in this runoff? Was it a vote of confidence in him and his policies, or more a rejection of his right-wing opponent?
A bit of both. What happened was that more people came out to vote in the runoff. It was forecast that 300,000 more people would come out to vote in areas where Mr. Kast was popular. However, 1.2 million people came out to vote in the runoff, huge amount of people, in areas where Mr. Boric had actually campaigned really heavily, but also in areas where he was very popular, and in the biggest cities of Chile, Santiago, the capital, and Valparaiso in the south. So this 1.2 million people made a huge difference and gave him this huge victory, margin of victory. And why? Why did these people vote for him? Because he moderated his speech. He managed to get the support from former President Michelle Bachelet and former President Ricardo Lagos, which is very important because they belong to the moderate wing of the Christian Democrats and the Socialist Party, which is a moderate left-wing left-wing party in Chile. So this combination of factors, what happens is that this is one of the biggest turnout for a runoff in the history of Chilean democracy and the post-Pinochet era since 1989.
Okay.
And that made a huge difference for him. He campaigned heavily in the northern part of Chile, which he was a bit weak. He managed to get votes from other parties that traditionally wouldn't have voted for him, and putting all that together made it possible for him to have this huge margin. It's a massive margin. As you said rightly in the introduction, he's the youngest president in the history of Chile.
His relative inexperience was highlighted by his rivals right throughout the campaign. What will a Boric presidency look like? Is the country now set for huge social change?
Well, he has moderated his speech. He comes from the radical left. He comes from the protest movement of the students of 2011 against the now outgoing president Sebastián Piñera in his first period, and the 2019 social unrest. He was one of the leaders, and that's how he built his political career. He had a radical speech about reduction of poverty and increasing employment, and also increasing the pensions for the poorer people in the country. That created some kind of worry among economists who were saying, look, we need economic stability. Now, he has moderated his speech. He's going to go ahead with some of his radical changes, but at the same time, he's going to maintain market economic policies, because he knows that the stability of the markets is the only guarantee he will have to be able to implement his changes. He has to reincorporate the labor force. The central bank in Chile predicts up to 2.5% of slump in the economy, and he needs to get that back because of the pandemic. This is a slump in the economic output in Chile.
How long will the public give him to bring about the change that they expect? What are some of the potential pitfalls that lie ahead for him? And will his four-year term be enough for him to make a difference?
That's a very good question. There won't be a honeymoon. There's no question about it. People are going to expect him to start the changes straight away. He has to make alliances in the Congress, but also at the same time, there is a Constituent Assembly at the moment which is discussing a new constitution that will replace the Pinochet constitution. Now, if the new constitution, where many people from the left have a great deal of numbers within the Constituent Assembly, come up with a radical constitution, he's going to have to implement a radical program. But at the same time, in the Senate chamber and in the Deputies chamber, he's going to have to make alliances with more moderate forces to be able to implement his changes, especially the Christian Democrats and the Moderate Socialist Party. In that respect, he's going to have to, and actually he did that during the second campaign. He moderated his speech. He said that he's going to respect the market economics, but he expects that the increase of the labor force will enable the economy to revive. So he won't have a honeymoon. People will expect him to implement certain changes straight away. The 4 years that he has as president won't be enough, obviously. It will depend very much on whether the Chileans decide to re-elect a left-wing leader. But he's going to have to start straight away. The markets are expecting him to respect certain norms in the market economics. So the stability of the economy comes back. Again, as I said to you, there's going to be a slump of 2.5% of the economy, according to the central bank, and he needs to get that back. There are many people from the labor force who abandoned it because of the pandemic. He has to get those people back to work, but at the same time, he has to reduce unemployment. So he has to combine market economics and radical social policies. That's going to be very difficult for him, and he's going to need a lot of support from all the political forces within the Chilean Congress to be able to implement his program. But won't be enough, and he's going to have to start straight away.
Javier, many thanks indeed. Javier Fahey there in London.